Well, we promised you a big guest, and we have delivered. We teased it, and here it is. Richie Mo'unga. Actually, do you know what? Marshy pulled me up at the airport. I picked him up at the airport today, and he was like, mate, we've got to get that name right because everyone calls him Mo'unga, and it's not Mo'unga.
Well, I learnt, obviously, through TV, and obviously there was a period there, Richie wasn't there, where people were getting it wrong.
Yeah.
So I said to Andy, whatever you do, and he had about 4 goes in the car, and I was like, mate, you're off the market. You're just going to get it right. So how's the intro going to go? So I said, the best thing you can do is let Richie introduce himself.
I've sort of given up on, it's all right, yeah, kind of, it's me you're talking about, so it's fine, I'll let anything slide, but it is Mo'unga.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mo'unga.
Yeah, Mo'unga.
There's a bit of,
There's quite a bit out there where people get that completely wrong, though, isn't it? 'Cause as you said, you'd start to let it slide now, but it's quite important.
Yeah, it's very important. Like, it's your name, your father's name, something that you're really proud of as a kid. And when you're burst into the scene and wanting to make a name for yourself, and it's not being said right, you know, it hurts the ancestors a little bit, but it's out there. That's what you want, and you want it to be said right.
So, what do you think of Brad Fittler's on the state of origin?
Yeah, I've heard my name.
Joey, right? Yeah, Joey John said first, and then he came in with something completely different.
Yeah, I got it sent to me, and I've heard my name. You know, I've heard all sorts. I've heard it being butchered in many ways, but that was right at the top. Yeah, yeah,
because he didn't actually even say the right letters. Like he just it was a completely made up.
He started it first.
No, he said M. Yeah, he said like that was it.
Yeah,
in state of origin, mate. Like, was that true?
What was that?
In camp, like
in
that's
camp.
why you.
Yeah. There's footage of it, man. Yeah, it was true.
Yeah. At camp, I saw
you changed the game.
Pinching myself in meetings and trainings. I just felt like the biggest fraud, you know, sitting there like, what am I doing here? These guys are like, what was this guy up to? But it was just the coolest experience. Like and I grew up watching league, and I love league. Watch it every weekend. And obviously love the state of origin, and to be sort of in that environment, seeing how they go about their work, and just the intensity of it. It's like nothing else.
Yeah, it's a different mentality. Like we had 3 guys come over: Matty Rogers, Lottie DeCurie, and Wendell Saylor. Culturally, changed the whole culture, but their work ethic, their talk, their communication, but. There were 2 drop kicks, man, that Zach Lomax regathered from Jerome Luai.
Yeah.
Pretty much changed. Like, because that whole thing with rugby league is, because Australia, right, love rugby league.
Yeah.
Like, rugby league is just everywhere over there. But mate, it's a huge part of the game now, like in terms of the kickoffs, right? That 50-50 ball.
Yeah, it's sort of the change in mindset that teams used to have around just kicking it as long as you can and backing your defense, but it's awesome to see that side of league grow, and I think what you'll see more later in the years is teams from kickoff kicking it shorter too.
Yeah,
and that'll be awesome too. It's cool to see the game still growing after all these years.
Can I ask? Was that a change of jersey for you? Or have you always been a New Zealand?
Nah, I've always been.
Lots of New Zealanders are Queenslanders.
No, it's I'm pretty proud to say I'm a proud New South Wales supporter.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
The only one in my family.
There's some lean years there then.
Yeah, and especially growing up, 2000 and, I don't even know, it was 8 years. Of Queensland, their run with Cronk and Smith, Slater.
And JT.
Yeah, Thurston, even Lockyer before he retired. So hopefully it's changing a little bit.
What was it that they specifically wanted you to do? Because obviously, it looks like you were there to teach them how to do the short kickoff. Is that actually what happened? Come in, can you teach them how to do the short kickoff?
I actually, I didn't do any drop kicks with the boys, to be honest.
Well, you've taken some credit, though. You personally.
Yeah.
But people have just read into it after.
No, so none of that's true. Like, I didn't do any drop kicks with Luai or any of the lads. What I was asked to do was come into the environment and just have a look around. I had a few messages and calls with Madge around a few of their leadership meetings, focuses after the session, that second game, the importance of backing up a good performance. And I sort of just gave him sort of my feedback as to what I thought was important. And those things were brought up in the leaders' meetings. So it was pretty surreal to, see my quotes up on a projected screen, and thinking like, oh shit, the boys are.
That's amazing.
But also, I trained with them, and I was in their meetings and dinners and stuff. So I'd say I got more out of it than what they did, just to be able to be in that environment. But yeah, it was just that was it. It was a bit of PD for me, looking at ways how I think I could get better as a player, but also my team in Japan, taking some real gold out of there, see what we could change.
So is this a good player to come back for the All Blacks, or?
I do think if I do come back, it's going to be in Christchurch. I'd probably squash all those rumours now.
Oh, thank God.
I'm squashing now.
Mate, don't squash it now, man. It's going to drive your price up, bro.
Yes.
Can I, just for the record, I've always been a Queensland man, so obviously we're rivals on the cup.
Yeah.
But, certainly not when it comes to the Crusaders. Mine goes back to Wally Lewis, and I had an Alfie Langer,
Wow.
7 Queensland shirt, the one with the white collar, like running around in that. But
That's so.
there was equally, mate, you were flying in terms of league chat, because there's the New South Wales thing, but then there was, and you actually said before that you love your league. And then you sort of came out and said that you thought about the possibility of going to rugby league. Was it the Warriors?
It was the Warriors, yep.
Was that a genuine?
Yeah, it was in 2018, and we just finished a tour with the All Blacks, and I was going to Auckland for the New Zealand Rugby Awards. And at that same time, I had a catch-up with Kearney. And it was just looking at the possibilities of what could happen. And Johnson had just left, and he was going over to the Sharks, so it kind of made sense. And yeah, I love league. I've always watched. I had older brothers that played league.
Yeah.
But I have always dreamed of being an All Black and competing at a World Cup and playing for the Crusaders. So, it's kind of cool to have that feeling that a team wants you, and you, what are the possibilities of going to another code. But it was a real important time to stay true to what I believed in and what I felt was right for me, although I still wonder now. So it's...
The Australian boys, like particularly Joe Ross, back in the day, would always say he's talking to rugby league when he was coming off contract. So to boost up his contract. But I think, look at Carter Gordon, like going over to the Gold Coast Titans. Nagarawasi, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Going to the Roosters. It's a genuine option for Australian Rugby Union players, because the code it's gone like this, like in the last probably 10 to 15 years, where it's skyrocketed. So the attraction, like not necessarily the Warriors, but playing in the NRL itself.
I think it's massive, and it's cool to see players like Mark and Carter Gordon make that transition. Because of all players that are playing now and seeing possibilities, there's not one way to have a career. So it opens doors and avenues for other players to try things. And I think, I want to see it more. And I don't know Mark or Carter Gordon, but I'm just right behind them.
Yeah,
I'm right behind them, hoping that they just do well and represent Union well, which will happen.
Yeah, look, I think they'll go really well in rugby league because of the simplicity of it. Like you look at Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, they came the opposite way, right? Like, and obviously the Sunny Bills of the world. We've got Sa'a coming back from the Roosters to Rugby Australia. What has he done? He's probably like thinking, well, what have I signed? But to see, obviously, I think it's a harder transition from rugby league to union than what it is to union to league.
And Swelly's he's played union before.
Yeah, he grew up first 15, right?
So, yeah, he's another one that was in the State of Origin camp as well. And we were training, and he starts asking questions about, kicking, what's it like fullback and having to make these decisions and kicking. So he's another one that I think he's just a genuine athlete, just a monster. He's big, he's tall, he's lean.
6'4", I think he is.
Yeah, he's lean, he holds the ball like this. And even Joseph Manu too, heading over to Japan, he's going to be...
Who's he playing for?
Joey Mane.
Toyota.
She'd be running into him.
I hope not.
Not as well, man.
I know what I'll be doing.
The wrong channel.
That's all right, yeah.
And he can play. He's
It's like get that 7 on your hip. It's
Yeah, I think I'm defending on wing at the, when we play them. I'll be somewhere else.
run us through Japan, man. Like the stories are, right? Like it was always, we used to call it the DFC in Australia, the dash for cash. Like you go for the dash for cash.
What?
Tono Cafe.
Why were you not
Mate,
there?
no, I didn't go there. They never used to sign front row forwards, mate. I tried to go to Japan first before I went over to England to be the worst signing ever. But anyway.
There's a reason, though, that you wouldn't be there. But that's Roppongi.
You know what I mean?
that would have been the death of you, mate. There's no way that a place that's open to 6 a.m. would have suited Jeremy Paul.
What do you mean open, man? It was like stayed open, didn't close. Yeah, no, we had a couple of good tours there with Eddie Jones and Rod McQueen, but it's not the dash for cash anymore, right? Like over there, the league's actually quite serious. The footy is actually quite good. The body, you go over there for a sabbatical as such, like from New Zealand playing point of view. How is the body, mind? How has it been playing out there?
Honestly, it was just the best experience. I think, not even talking footy, like just a new change of scene. And Marsh, you'll know what I'm talking about when you freshen up. You're in the same rugby park every day for years on years.
It's tough.
So having that experience a getaway, experience a new culture, have the challenges of having your whole family move countries, it's a big challenge. And
especially your airport day, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to get the kids through.
And you got 8 suitcases and your son's, he's over there, that terminal, like it's...
Because I bet you've got like a decent sized house over there and you're moving to Japan. It's like a...
Exactly, yeah. Yep. We're on level 3 of an apartment story building. It's tight.
What are the kids saying to you? Like, because they're giving you feedback on this, I'm sure.
Yeah. They obviously love home, but I think wherever their mum and dad are, they're fine. Yeah. I think that's it's a good thing about being in Japan is we've had to overcome such big challenges of moving countries, but like we've learned so much about each other, like our family, and I've learned so much about my wife, and we've gone through heaps of things, and it's really just made us really strong. Like we've just come back energized and we actually can't wait to go back again. So that was awesome, an awesome part about it. But the rugby itself was really cool. Just having new challenges that I had to face that I've never faced before in terms of the rugby was our lineouts not doing well, our scrums not doing well. So as a player,
used to that being
yes, yeah,
put on a platter.
Don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. So
how did you deal with that? Because you've gone over there. Did you take any of the Crusaders culture with you, or did you have any imprint on?
I tried to go over there and just absorb a lot and not try to change much, but it was pretty evident. I went over there and thought, okay, I've just finished the World Cup. You know, I'm still gutted. We lost.
Oh, we got 2 silver.
Oh, I can't help it, mate. Honestly,
We got 2 silver.
Yeah, in a bronze.
Mate, we got 2 silvers.
Yeah.
We got 2 silvers.
I guess that's better than a silver and a bronze, but that was I finished the World Cup and went to Japan, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to cruise a little bit. I'll just fly on the radar, and I'll just won't take on much responsibility. But I guess when you're playing, and you're as competitive as ever, you'll do whatever it takes to get the team right, get yourself right, and those are the best things I've learned over there. That was probably the most satisfying season I've had in my career.
Really?
Yeah, and won the title, obviously. Let's not forget about that. Like, to do that and to freshen up, like, I did the same, sorry, but when I left, because it's all about me, and I was exactly the same, like 10 years, you know, you're the same training facility, and this doesn't mean to come across as being arrogant, but slightly is. Like, you win titles and you got to remotivate yourself to win another, and that's not easy, you know, because you've achieved that goal, so you've achieved the ultimate, and to continually do it. So I thought I want to go to the UK and try and make a difference, and I went to Leeds because many said, why did you sign for Leeds? And I said, because they're a club that similar, you know, that are not a superpower, because I got offers from Wasps and Leicester and places like that, come win titles. I was like, well,
you went to a rebuild club.
yeah. But I wanted to get to do exactly what Richie was just talking about.
At 30 something.
Try and like
You're mad.
make a team, better and make a difference and then have that as motivation. And we finished last as a relegated. Like booted me out because I was on too much money. When that's when I was like looking for a new contract, I was like, well, this wasn't entirely the plan.
But that's what comes with the price tag, though, right? Like when you're the marquee player. But I struggled when I went over there being a one club person, right? Like, so I was lucky, like you boys. You only played for the Crusaders, only played for the Brumbies. I actually found fitting in and the culture of the side, found it difficult because I was from the outside, didn't play a lot. So that probably impacted it a bit. But, from a I suppose, a cultural point of view, like they don't see you as a mercenary as such, but like you're coming in there for basically 2 years, that's it, and you're out. Because there's no real longevity about this, really, is there? Like it's about freshening up, getting back to the All Blacks and Crusaders.
Yeah,
hopefully.
it's that is what it is. The other way I sort of look at it is they've hired me to do a job and to give them all I can and give them my best and to give them the chance to win a championship, which has been a long time before they had done so. So that was a real exciting part for me, and it was an awesome challenge to be like, okay, well, what can I add here? So, as I said, these challenges that I haven't gone through in footy about lineouts and scrums and managing a week, things outside of rugby field. Why do we have this meeting here? Why is it that long? How can we make it shorter and sharper? Those are the things that I really learned about myself and how many years I played the Crusaders, all that I'd boxed up, and then I was being able to give this information as to, I think we could do this better. I think we should do this here. Captain's run should be this amount long.
Can you give us an example of how long meetings and captain's run should be? Because people will be listening to this and have no idea.
Yeah, there's no real set time it should be, I guess.
So what do you like?
I guess in the meetings, they took so long because old talk, the translator talks, it translates whatever I say. Someone asks a question in Japanese. He translates it.
Oh, God.
Yes.
And it just goes, so that's sort of, so it was about how can we make things sharper, and maybe it was having discussions in little groups, asking questions. Those are the better times to have it, instead of in a team meeting where we're all here about one person's learnings. We can make it shorter and more efficient. So just little things like that. And the one thing about the Japanese, they train so hard. They're the hardest trainers. They're so professional. And that was really cool for me to even see that how serious they take it. But one thing I learned was they can train smarter too. They can be a bit more efficient. So that was something I try to add to the group without changing a whole lot, because they also love their traditions. And if you ask, why are we doing this? And it's, we've just been doing this for 10 years. That's it.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. But that's just how the Japanese are, and traditions are really strong, which is awesome. But if we don't need to be smashing each other on a Thursday, it would be actually really great for me on a Thursday. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd give that a miss.
Yeah. Wear the special bib. Yeah, gotcha.
You've obviously reached like the peak now. I mean, well, you're at the top of where people want to go when they start out playing rugby. You played for the All Blacks, you've played the World Cup, you won with the Crusaders 7 titles, you've won in Japan, you're on the biggest podcast in the world shortly.
Yeah.
It started off in Upper Riccarton though for you. It's a very special place for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just like you guys, you have your story, your journey, and where you grew up, and that is just down the road, Upper Riccarton. I just come from there, and that's where I truly learned my craft, mastered my craft, and good and bad memories, getting hidings or up to mischief with the lads and stuff. But that was just such a fun time of my childhood. And really, I like repping it because I know at the stage that I'm on, and the impact and influence I have on kids growing up in UPR now.
Tell the people that might be listening to this in the UK or Australia, what is Upper Riccarton? What is it
it stands for Upper Riccarton.
Yeah. So
It's my neighbourhood that I grew up in. Yeah.
And what's the neighbourhood like?
Yeah, it's good. A lot of Pacific Island families within the community. A lot of state houses. You see all different types of people in my neighbourhood, which is such a beautiful thing. And I live down a cul-de-sac, a no exit, which was just where we played touch, and it was on concrete. And you'd get ankle tapped on the concrete, and you graze your elbows and stuff. It's
you do wonder, don't you? Yeah. I always wondered about stone fights. Who was ever going to win it? Only one person got hit, and the game's over.
That's it.
Stone fights. How crazy is that, Matt? So you obviously Linwood as well, club rugby.
Yeah.
And ran into and had a bit of time with Scott Henson, because he was kind of. He was halfback around the time that I was playing as well. It's kind of just on the outskirts.
Yes, behind you.
He was.
Yeah. That's what I was alert. Did I say earlier it's about me or no?
Now look at him.
Yeah. He was a feisty, angry little man though, Scott Henson. But big influence on you, particularly early?
Yeah, the biggest influence in my rugby career.
Yeah.
I played for Marist Albion as a kid.
Yeah.
So all through the younger grades, and I finished high school, and during my last year, I went back to these clubs, and I went back to Marist Albion. I said, I want to come and play for Marist next year, but I really want to play seniors. And then the coach was like, sort of laughed, so I was like 73 kgs at the time, and he just said, we've got a 10 playing seniors footy at the moment. We would like to see you come through the Colts grade and sort of work your way up. And I'd sort of heard enough, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go on to the next club.
Nice.
Went to Sydenham and Christchurch, and then I had a meeting with Scott Henson, and he basically said, if you're good enough, you're old enough, you're in. At that point, I didn't know Linwood was struggling for numbers, so I think that was part of the reason I got in. But yeah, with his sort of guidance, never looked back, and he's challenged me in a lot of ways, pushed me. We still keep in touch heaps, changing ideas and what are you looking at? What are you thinking? What about this? So it's been really cool to have someone like him throughout my career.
There's that infamous chat that I've heard about Razor coming to Linwood to watch you play and giving you some pretty strong feedback, because he seems like such a nice guy on TV. I don't know him. I know you guys are mates with him, but he gave you some pretty honest feedback. And like, what was that? Can you remember your side of that story?
Yeah, it was 2013. We played high school old boys just down the road, and Linwood were a struggling team. We had some good players, but we could never beat any good sides. And I ended up having like this like unreal match, like a couple tries, try-saving tackles, kicked some goals, and we beat high school old boys. Were such a good team. And I walk off the field like, chest is a bit, puffed out, and my head's high. And Razor was at the game, and he pulled me aside. He told me to come over. And I thought, man, this is going to be good. Like, and boy, was I wrong? Was I wrong? He basically said, like, I missed a tackle, 5 meter scrum out, and Rob Thompson, he bowled me over and scored. And he said, that tackle you missed? It's like, you better fucking make those tackles.
He would talk to you like that.
You're not going to make my team if you do that.
Wow.
And so I've just gone from up here, and he's telling me this, and I'm looking down, and I always remember it so clear. He said, look at me when I talk to you. And so my head's down here, and the distance between here and here just felt like it was miles, and me having to look up and into his eyes as he said that to me. And he just said, you need to be brave, put your head in a hard place. And it always stuck with me, And even now I play, and you just got to do it. You just put your head in there, And if he knows you're giving it your all, you've done everything you can, but he won't settle for a weak arm or you ushering someone to the try line. And that's what I did that day, which was pretty humbling, but it was an awesome experience, and Razor hasn't changed since then. He's who he is who he's been forever. He hasn't changed with whatever team he's coached. He's what you see is what you get, but he demands a lot from his players, and in return, he'll give you a lot. He'll give you everything you need to succeed as a player. And yeah, I was lucky to have that conversation.
I wish I could have thrown a couple of diamonds into your pocket for that conversation. So Totai Kefu run through you a few times. Put your head in the right place.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't play, Razor. That was your tackle, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't my man.
Coaches out, don't you?
It's a weird one, though, isn't it? Like I remember the late years with Mertz. Him and Robbie used to have some ding-dongs. And that was around...
in front of people.
Oh, mate, on the training field, yeah. But you kind of what you're saying, like Mertz just super intelligent, knew the game incredibly well. And Robbie was offering something and he literally just didn't agree with him, didn't agree with what he's saying, which you should be able to for a player that experience and what he'd been through and what he'd done in the game. Absolutely. It's like, but Robbie didn't like being challenged, particularly in front of the other players. And there's a couple of times it was like super awkward. Like they'd be talking, everyone else's head would go down to the green. It's like, oh shit, when these two going to move, you can stop talking. It's like, I don't want to be here. But Mert's like, mate, when he gets his 30 back up, but all he was doing was, like you say, challenging the coach, saying, well, that's not the right play. Like they're going to blitz that area. I think this move. I mean, no, we're doing this. And yeah, it's quite weird, isn't it? It takes a
special player to do that though, right? Like, you find that though, like as you've grown older now though, like you see the game more clearly, you're able to articulate yourself a lot better and figure out, like you're just talking about Japan, right? And going, I loved how you were like sort of micro management of shorter meetings, shorter sessions, like get far more efficiency out of it. Do you find like, can you track your journey? Like
I think just as we sort of talked about all the 8 years, 10 years, whatever, it's just awesome experience. And I think, and I have had, as you know, we lost the World Cup, we came third in the last World Cup. So there's been some downs too, and I've learned from them as well. But the beautiful thing about rugby, and wherever I go, I'm able to take all these experiences with me and learn from it and say, well, that's not going to work, or we should do it different. So it's just a real cool way to give back to whatever team I'm going to be in.
So you're coming back to the Crusaders, and we can officially Crusaders All Blacks.
I think he said that. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
I got no say. I'm contracting Japan, so I got
true.
Whatever the wife wants, man. Like really, when you get to, because it's nice, man. Actually, yeah, it's nice to spend more time with the kids because you're not traveling as much with South Africa, right? Like, because I miss South Africa and the Super Rugby. Like, did you watch much of it this year?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Massive fan when South Africa were in the competition and having to get up at early hours of the morning, and just the atmosphere there. I really miss it playing at Loftus
cool
and Joburg, and their fans are really unique in the way that they just know how to create a rugby game. But I do miss it. I also miss just playing Super Rugby in general. Actually, it's been really awesome to sit back and watch the competition unfold. And see teams sort of get better and get worse, and you kind of wonder why. And it's real interesting having talks with a lot of the boys around in the super teams as well. Yeah.
Would you play in Australia? Like, say for example, like you could still play for the All Blacks, right? Like,
say don't even play for Moana Pacifica.
It's a hypothetical, right? Like, say it's the hypotheticals, because back in 1996 when they first started the World Rugby Comp, right? Like, it was about 12 teams around the world. You could play in San Francisco and still play for the Wallabies or the All Blacks. It was this concept of being able to play wherever you wanted to, but you could still play for your country of birth. Could you see yourself, probably a tough question, but Do you think All Black players would come to Australia and play like an Australian team?
Yeah, if I was based in Brisbane, I'd definitely play.
How'd you move to Brisbane?
If I was playing for the Reds, I'd be based in Goldie and
Noosa.
Broadbeach, maybe. That's where I sort of spend my time in Aussie.
Yeah.
But I actually
There's no attraction there.
I think you would. I think the lifestyle, the weather, and it would be an awesome way for players and teams to learn from different players in different countries. And I think that's really growing the game of rugby too. That's why I always enjoy about the Barbarians. And you've played.
Yeah, I played Barbarians. How good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, you played against the All Blacks.
paper bag, bro.
Yeah.
I played against the All Blacks as well.
Did you?
Yeah, captain the Barbarians against the All Blacks. I was still an All Black. So I got rested for the end of year tour in 2002.
What happened?
Rested. No, yeah. What happened? No, I did because I had a volume and they kind of thought, that they need development as well,
Yeah.
which was obviously a challenge within the message. And then, so the All Blacks went on the tour and
Brian Caliber was playing well that year.
wasn't it? He was on fire.
What a player.
On fire. Yeah. He's come off the bench the most. No, anyway. And the Barbarians rang me and they said, do you want to come and play against the All Blacks at Twickenham and captain the side? And it was just like the most incredible thing I could ever do in the game. And I had to jump through massive hoops because I was being rested.
Yeah.
But I said, this is a lifetime experience that you've got to let me go. Yeah. So facing the haka and that was like,
Double brown paper bag.
oh, double. It was crazy, man. Like, did you obviously you got to face the haka as well, and it's weird, isn't it?
Hearing the national anthem going, and it was a bit different to you. I was sort of early. I wasn't even an All Black, so facing that and thinking like how bad I would want to be on the other side.
What was your opposite?
Bowden Barrett.
Was it?
Yeah, he captained the All Blacks.
All Blacks that day.
But it was a cool experience, and the Barbarians itself, a real cool week to mix up and chop up with other boys from all around the world.
Chop up,
right? Yeah, it was crazy.
It's a crazy week. I think I only just surfaced the day of the game.
And then you got called into the All Blacks squad like straight after that to play against like a French 15.
Yeah.
But your actual test debut for the All Blacks was against France, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we played the Barbarians All Blacks. I go in the change rooms, have a shower. I jump on the All Blacks bus to their hotel. So it was the week itself, I don't, for it to end like that, thinking of how it started was just crazy. And then, obviously the debut against France is just cool. Yeah.
What do you remember of that?
Just being real nervous, but also just like how long it's taken and the things I've had to go through to get here. Like, all the hurdles and as you guys know, it's all you dream of. It's what you breathe. You're obsessed about rugby and about representing your country. So
just have Upper Riccarton on your wrist to like look at it while you're playing and stuff, right?
Yeah.
UPR.
Yeah. It's where you're from, you don't forget your roots, and it's been a big part of my life. So you want to take that and then everyone in your corner with you on that journey. And it was cool to have all my family down there watching me run on.
This is in Dunedin.
This was in Dunedin, and it was just the best night. And it was just, that night happens and you're sort of in bed, and then it's okay, well, how can I stay here a bit longer, And that's sort of where your mind goes to straight away. You're not satisfied, you're not happy. You want to get better and make that sort of more permanent.
Let's have a look at last year, because Rugby World Cup final, hell of a game. Obviously not the result we're after. What was that game like for you? Because a whole lot went on. Obviously Sam getting sent off. Like, what was said when that happened? Like, what was the messaging then? Keep it simple?
Yeah.
We're down to 14.
Talk us through that situation.
Honestly, to be honest, I can't remember much from the game. What I do remember is like how I felt, the feeling of just like the true intensity of the game. My first touch of the game was only a couple minutes in. I got a hospital pass from Retallick. I jumped up for it, and Etzebeth just smoked me.
Oh, of all the players.
So that was my first touch, and I only touched it for a split second, and it bobbled back. But I actually got knocked out when that happened. And so that was my introduction to the World Cup final. And
So you smacked the ground at it. Yeah. And then I've had that happen before. You spark out and then you open your eyes, you think, oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that. Shit.
And no one would know it, and it's irrelevant, but that's sort of having to adapt and having to take control again and get your breath back and be in the right frame of mind to execute was really hard because the intensity of the game was top. It was physical, and the speed of the game was really quick too. And then obviously things happen that you can't control, and cards and all that. But just like any other game of footy, it just goes, and sometimes you're watching the clock go, and it's not in favour of your team, and that was the case on that day.
You got knocked out 2 minutes into the World Cup final.
Yeah, it must have been 2. Yeah, it was early. Yeah.
I remember the tackle.
Yeah,
he didn't miss you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It was like my sternum, like for months after, it was like bruised. I never got it checked, but I couldn't sleep on my side because it would hurt. Yeah. It's just these guys.
That's part and parcel.
These guys, yeah, it's just all part of it. It's not anything big, but that's a memory from that game.
Sternum's hurt.
So what do you guys say then when you obviously get into a huddle and Sam's been sent off? Like, well, what's the messaging?
What was that word you said again?
It started with F and ended K. Yeah.
Just got to put your head in. Like, just got to put your head in.
You're not saying much. You're like, where am I? What's going on?
It's well, I can't remember the conversations, but something in footy, when something like that happens, it's all about solutions. How quick can you get them? And going into that game, we were well prepared with sin bins. Who goes off? Who does this? Line-out caller goes off. What lock's calling the line-outs? So we're all over it in terms of our game. How does it affect our shape? We're going to have to tighten up. Sammy plays on the edge. Who we put on the edge? Okay, well, we're going to be one less on the edge. How does it change our kicking game? All these things are happening so fast in the midst of the intensity and the fans and understanding you're in a Rugby World Cup final. So there were solutions. But that wasn't the winning or losing of the game. There were many moments that didn't end in a card that were also huge.
So obviously, since the World Cup, you've had time to sit back and watch the All Blacks, which is pretty new to you. Damien McKenzie's been going all right at 10. What are your thoughts on how he's been going?
Yeah, no surprises from what I've seen. Know what he's capable of and the threats that he poses to the attack, to the defense. But I think he's going to have an awesome year, and I think under Razor and Rangi, Scott Hansen and Alfie, I think will be an awesome opportunity for him to learn more about his game, which would be really dangerous.
The English series, like, what did you make of the All Blacks performances? Because there has been murmurs that they were quite lucky in both Test matches, because at opportune times, like you had Bowden Barrett at Eden Park come on and just completely changed the tempo of the game. But without his influence, it was a struggle. Dunedin, went down to a couple of pretty key moments. Did you see that series as being that tight?
Yeah, I did. I think, as you know, in Test level rugby, there's not much that separates teams. And England are always a team that no matter where they are in their cycle of development or players that are younger, they always bring the A game. And whenever I've played them, it's just been the toughest games. And I liked what I saw with the All Blacks. It wasn't always perfect, but no game of rugby is. But what I saw was a team that defended really well in crucial parts of the game, but also a team that was clinical. When Bodie came on and changed the game, he was a bench player that game, so that was his role. All he was doing was executing his role, and I like some of the younger players that have also played against Fiji as well. So really happy with where they're going, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more coming, but they hadn't had much time. It was only...
I have to jump in though, because I can't help myself.
What's that?
So obviously you've been an integral part of it. So there's been a reset, new coach coming in. Have you seen from what because you know it so well, you know the DNA, you know what you're looking for, a change in the structure and the shape of the All Blacks? You've seen it?
Yeah, I really have, probably more so defensively. Guys are coming up a lot faster, and it's been real efficient at the chop tackle. I like seeing my big boys do that, so I sort of noticed that really well. But also a few things that haven't quite come off, but I could start to see where they're trying to get to in terms of their attack. And it might be one pass or someone's just a bit wider. But as I said, time was a huge part in that. And so what they had to do, especially with new management, coaches, basically a new outfit had come in. And so having to navigate through that as well was challenging. So I would have thought Razor would just come in and have a few critical things that they need to nail in terms of where they want to be come England, and winning 2 is a perfect start.
But England did it well. Like no doubt they had looked at the way the All Blacks were going to possibly defend. But the 2 cross kicks that led to tries at Eden Park, they were executed perfectly by Marcus Smith, weren't they? And they had to be premeditated, didn't they?
Yeah. They definitely saw something from the first game. And then, the execution. Marcus Smith had it on a string, and I'd say that's one thing. It's a tough way to get scored on, a crossfield kick, especially if you're an outside backer or winger, and that happens. But as you know, all it takes is one game to fix it up. So, I'm sure, who knows when the next crossfield kick they'll get scored upon next. It's a big part that they would have looked at.
It's massive for him to get the opportunity with Owen Farrell having a mortgage on that jersey for so long, although sometimes they couldn't decide and put it at 12. But what do you make of Marcus Smith from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think he's just a real exciting player. Like, you can't deny the fact that he has probably got some of the best footwork in the game. The thing I like about him the most is his turn of pace, his acceleration to get out of situations. But he's really complete. Real big defensive player too. He's either scoring them or he's saving tries. And I guess in a team like England, where maybe his abilities might get put in a box a little because of what's around him, that'll be the biggest challenge. How can you get the best out of Marcus Smith? It might be out of what they're trying to do as a team. So there's going to have to be a balance of where they want to get to with that. But you watch him with Harlequins, and he's goosey step, he's flick passing.
Yep.
And then that's a dangerous Marcus Smith that teams will be coming up against if he does that for England.
There's a bit of confidence though, right? Like as a younger kid, let's not forget he's still only in his early 20s, man. Like, he's not that old.
Let's have a quick preview. I'm going to go around the room and just get who's going to win and by how much. So I'm going to start with Australia, South Africa. Marshy, who's winning by how much?
Well, interestingly, and I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I can't help myself, I will. I spoke to Rod Cafer during the week, and he actually said Cafe, the tugboat. Remember him? 12 for Aussie? Don't remember that. No. That's brilliant. I hope this goes out.
Sorry.
He actually made the bold statement that he reckons like South Africa pretty much the bunny team for the Wallabies. They particularly at Suncorp.
I agree. Yeah.
In Brisbane, they've beaten them something stupid like 6 out of the last 8 times.
I'm going to have to push you for an answer.
So I'm going to say that Australia are going to upset South Africa
By
I don't care, by nothing.
By 3, 4.
Yeah, I was fascinated by that stat.
Great stat. Richie, who's winning by how many?
South Africa.
By how many?
Mate,
2 tries.
Oh, they're pumping them.
When I say 2 tries, actually not 2 tries.
2 tries.
How many penalties is that? Whatever that amounts up to. That's what I meant to
So
say.
very quickly with Suncorp, when we beat them 49-0, the biggest score history of the game for us against South Africa, we actually had 3 of the oldest living Wallabies come and talk to us prior to the game. And one of them was actually, he got shot down in the war 3 times in an airplane and escaped as a POW 3 times. And we were just like, shit. Like, we went out there and ripped fucking heads off, man. Like, we were just like, we're escaping from the war. Could not believe it. Just, you've never mentally, right? Like, just been in this thing. But, yeah, Australia love playing in Suncorp. I think
They're on the biggest winning streak of any Tier 1 team at the moment.
That's 3 wins, I know. It's the longest, isn't it? I think Marika Korobidi being back, bit of form in the back 3 there. Like, when they go, I think that's going to be pivotal. Obviously,
have to
no
push you for an
Fraser
answer.
McBride. No Fraser McBride. I think Luke Reimer will come in. Harry Wilson back at number 8.
Who's winning by how many?
I think Australia can get over the
2
line.
people with Australia.
I think Australia-
Here we go.
There's a part to play in it as well.
Oh, mind you, we got the South African pod too.
If he selects one, if he does the right selections, see, I'm all about 13 working harder, like 13 getting back, because your 15's only as good as your 13 working back, right? Like, because that gives you the space. And I think Tom Wright is in probably the best career form of his life. So I'd like to see that Lenikitel start, 50-minute mark, Dunguna going to 13, Callaway come off the bench.
All right, let's look at the All Blacks, Pumas. How much are the All Blacks winning by, Marshy?
They will win, but Argentina will be tenacious because they've got that monkey off their back of having never beaten the All Blacks. But I think we'll be better for what we did, particularly with competition for places now. So it's, comfortable, 15, 16 points.
Richie?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think what we've seen the first 3 tests for the All Blacks, we're going to see a good combination of all that. But the boys have just come off a break from being at home too, and that's going to play a big part in them getting back into their work this week. So I'll say, 2 or 3, 4 tries.
Oof, 5. Well, that's too many.
He went to 5.
Depending on weather too, right? Like, I don't think so.
What Australian doesn't always take the piss out of our weather straight away?
No.
So you've already said it's going to be raining.
No, whether or not it's going to be like a free-flowing game. Like the Wallaby game, for example, is a day game, man. We don't get day games. So it's. I think the players will be excited.
That's awesome.
We'll see a lot of running footy, right? I think the last time Argentina have actually had it over the All Blacks, like over the last couple.
We're saying Argentina?
Not, mate.
I'm not saying that.
They
Let
have
me,
not had it over the
mate.
All Blacks.
No, mate, they had. They beat them on the Gold Coast. They beat them.
Do you
I think they
remember
beat
World
them
Cup?
here. They beat them here last year in the Test series, and I think they almost took it. They almost won it 2-0, man. Like it was pretty close. So I just think Argentina's Pumas are one of those sides that can be a bogey side for the All Blacks because they had a layup. They've had time off. Went to the US. Didn't put some of those players wouldn't be playing for 3-4 weeks now. I don't think it's going to be that far between score. I think the All Blacks will win if they select right. 10 and 15 selections.
Richie, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you, lads.
How
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Privilege.
So this is our very first podcast, and we wanted the biggest superstar in the game to be our first guest, and you've literally
So we try on
which we really appreciate that.
Who's the only guy that's not playing rugby at the moment? Oh, Richard. We'll get him on. But I appreciate that spiel anyway. It's nice.
That's the end of episode 1 of the Good, the Bad and the Rugby, Australia and New Zealand. Make sure you check out us on YouTube and all our social media as well. Give us a review, give us a share. Thanks again. We'll be back again next week.